And before we go into any depth, what part of London do you think Le Serge is from? What part of London? Yeah, and definitely top tier, top character. Like I said before, I don't know if it was captured in the recording, but she's so different from Yo as in terms of what she brings. Like she has more. It seems like she has more focus, but I wouldn't also agree with that. I would also say is just Yo shows in a different way. Like Yo shows his focus, like he's more relaxed with it, whereas and she's like, this is what we need to do, this is how we need to get strong, and this is actually the end product, and they complement each other well. And I think like I said, she was definitely needed for him to develop like a lot. Like without her, he's definitely not making this far, like at all.
100%. And I also want to actually springboard, because you're talking about how they complement each other. What did you think of the Funabari onsen flashback they had? And this is quite it's a bit further on from what we were talking about earlier. You know, the flashback where like you see Yo and Anna meet for the first time with Mansa Mune and the Onis.
Yeah.
That 10, I think it was 10 to 12 chapters long. Like, what did you think of that whole flashback? Because for me, that's probably I don't know if I can say it's my favorite, but it might be my favorite part of the series. Because, like, when you see that flashback and then you see them, you go back and reread, you understand, like, why Yo is so cool with Anna, and then, like, why he kind of tolerates what she does to him. Because, like, their bond is, like, from
different
time.
level.
It's deep, it's strong. Like that whole flashback was beautiful, man. Beautiful flashback. But
it was, and it's like we definitely needed it, because obviously we didn't know how deep the dynamic was, like early on, because it wasn't really fleshed out. So we just see, oh, that's his fiance, but you don't know like what that actually means and how it ties with like his whole journey and him becoming Shaman King. And obviously when we initially introduced to her, it was that he was with Yo was with Matamune, and I think they were at a shopping store.
You're right.
And then she popped up and
she slapped him in it.
Yes. When I say she's wild, it's actually ridiculous. I'm like, but when that happened, I wasn't even surprised. I was like, of course, their first meeting had to be some sort of abuse involved. It was a bit ridiculous. But she seemed so much like colder. Like she was obviously she was going through a lot.
Definitely.
But you can see like she was she was very guarded, trying to block other people from actually understanding her and knowing, and that kind of gave us an intrigue, because obviously we already know of their relationship now. We're thinking, wait, how did it start off like this? Like, how could it even go from this to where they are now? Which was sick. And because going into like why she was like that, because she had that ability that's it, and understand. Did it give the ability to like have a depth of understanding with spirits, so you can understand or hear their thoughts and like read, in essence, read other people's mind?
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely it. That's exactly it. And that's like she kind of like, it meant like she couldn't go around places with a lot of people because she's just hearing all their thoughts, and like it's just like, I don't want these in my head, kind of thing.
It's mad because you would think when I was first reading that, I was thinking, could that actually have that kind of effect. But I
Mm.
was thinking, if you had so many people's thoughts of what is going on through their heads going through yours, man, that would drive you crazy. Like that's a
Exactly.
lot to take in. Like
Mhm.
that's way too much. And so that was super interesting. And I like how they just did it, like it wasn't just like a mind reading ability. It was like there's depth to it. Like it's like having such awareness or spirit awareness that you're able to kind of like read one's spirit, and that makes
Mhm.
sense going with the
Exactly.
format of the show. Like if it was just she's able to read minds, I'll be like, what is this? I would have to throw it. I would have to throw the whole thing in the bin, man.
Throw it away.
Bro, trust. And I'm not. Who was her guardian again? Because she seemed to have.
So she had the Oni, and basically what the Oni was doing is he was kind of, I think, taking advantage of her power to get her into a place with a lot of people, so he could. I think he wanted to kill them, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's where Yo came in, and Mantamune. Definitely, yeah, that guy's that guy. He kind of acts like a mentor for Yo, because this Yo is quite different from the one we meet in the story, because he's kind of, I say, a bit more emotional, brash, and he's kind of I guess he's more similar to, like, how, I wouldn't say exactly like a Naruto when you first meet him, but he's kind of like in that kind of similar vein. He's not like the calm, cool-headed person you meet when you first meet him in the story. So like it's quite interesting to see like the vast differences in their demeanor, and like how you see Mantamune influence him throughout that whole flashback. He kind of helps him to grow, and then like what happens in the end when he ultimately dies, that causes,
That was sad, man.
I'm telling you, because I was just like, damn, man. And that's what he gets the necklace he's always wearing.
That tie-in was so sick. I was like, oh my days, like stop it. I was like, come on, like stop it. You can't be doing this to me.
Listen,
Be doing this.
Felt that in my heart. I was like, damn.
Trust me. And like you could see how much he meant to Yo. Like Yo truly appreciated that guy. Like even when was it? Like way later on in the arc, in the patch arc when they're in hell, and he
meets him again.
Yes, and he's like, wait, is he here? And you see his whole like face change. You see his whole like vibe change. He's like, and I was like, that's how you know that their relationship was different.
Exactly.
It was actually different.
Different. Yeah, that flashback is. I think it was because in the original release, I don't think they actually included that flashback, because what happened is, when it ended in Shonen Jump, he didn't add these certain bits. So when he went back to redo it, he added that flashback, and then those extra the extra chapters to actually round out the story at the end. So I think this edition was like very, 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 very important, because like
Definitely.
I think if you don't have it, you kind of don't really have the full understanding of the relationship between Yo and Anna, and that's like, I think it's quite important, because Anna, like, when she meets like Hal, she talks a lot of crud to him. I think she even slaps him one time.
Facts.
And Hal's like, yo, I like
so
you.
much energy.
I like you, but don't get too loud. But he's like, and she's powerful, you know.
Yeah.
She took two of his what the Shikigami, you know, the red and blue things. She took those from Hal. So like, just because she's like on the sidelines, I don't think she's weak. Like, them two.
No, she's about.
They're a powerful couple.
Facts.
But let's shift back, and now let's talk about okay. So let's talk about the beginning of the Shaman tournament. Like, actually, like, so this is when they're trying to get to the Pat tribe village. So let's talk about when they first meet Hal for the first time, and the Great Spirit of Fire. when they first meet Lyserg,
Yeah,
and also the flashback where they find out in the previous Shaman King tournament that when Hao was reincarnated, that he killed basically all their like past versions in the Patch tribe. If you remember that little flashback they had.
I do. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you go first.
So if I remember correctly, the first time they meet Hao and their lot is on the plane ride.
Yeah.
Where I
Just
forgot where
before the
they're
plane.
going to. Was it just
So,
before the plane ride?
yeah, just before the plane ride, they meet Hao, and then like he kind of like he shows them his power, and then like on the
Yeah,
plane they're vexed because they're like, oh, this guy's strong. And then so basically they're taking the plane to America because that's where the Patch village is.
that's the
And
one.
then yeah, and then what's it? And then the plane what's it? They jump out the plane, and then you see how he's flying on the Great Spirit of Fire, and then the rest of them, they have to use their spirits in tandem so they can land because they didn't get issued any parachutes or anything.
When he released that the Great Spirit of Fire and was flying, I was like, oh my days, is this what he's on? Is this what he's on?
Built different.
That was let's be real, that was one of the biggest flexes I've seen on a manga strip. A man just said, release that, and man was flying, and the whole crew was with him as well.
Exactly, he had his boys
everybody
with
else
him.
was just different. Then everybody else was just dropping and falling, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be a short battle because people are never gonna make it far. They're gonna die before they even get to the real event.
Oh, that was funny.
Like, and from there you could just tell he was definitely on a different different gear to them, like everybody else. Like nothing phased him. Man was so composed. Whilst everybody's screaming, man just relaxed. And I was like, yeah, I'll see you guys when it's time to battle, when it's time to fight. I think definitely a great introduction. I feel like it also had this comedic elements, like the banter they were having on the plane, and people kind of recognizing like the distance between them and him, and like how they're actually gonna. Do you know when like somebody's way stronger than you? You have to just joke about it. Like you can't take it serious, like because it's kind of peak. Facts. Like that's how it was. They were like, you know what? this is not great for us. We might not make this. Like
it's a bit sticky.
Yeah, so definitely. So I know that from what I remember, I think it was very vague instructions. Like they told them where to kind of meet and go, but there wasn't anything super specific. So they make it to the Patch tribe, and they're kind of going around the village, and I'm assuming that not everybody there was part of the Shaman tribe, because I know, like, especially
I think you're right.
There was that man who had like a shop store that like they went to buy, like somebody went to buy food or some other stuff, like I don't know, like souvenirs and that. So that was like the initial people getting their bearings and the start of like our journey to like the first round fights. And that was kind of like, there was a lot of reveals there, slow reveals about the Patch history, what how long like this area has been around for, like what usually goes on, and I know the thing that was a bit weird for me was that you see the girl who was a relative of the Patch tribe or another tribe, and when they met up with her.
Yeah, you with the dolls. Are you talking about that lady?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, she makes them. I think basically her dolls are possessed by the spirits of those who were killed by Hao, and then they force them to see the visions of how they were killed by him. and that's like how they get a bit of the Patch's history. Because when they land, they don't know where the Patch tribe is, so they're trying to gather information through like each town. And it's funny you were talking about comedic moments, because when they first land, Ryu, he gets his spirit, and he tries hitchhiking, and he uses his spirit as like a giant thumb in it. and then the guy pulls up, and they're like, brother, with the car, because he's like, oh yeah, I understand the hitchhiker's spirit. That was funny. I remember that was
jokes.
That was a good gag that they had there. What did you think of Lysog when you first meet him? Because like when he first pulls up, he deals with Ren and Horror, and those two, we know they're strong. So to see him make quick work of them both, because he destroys Ren's spear. He destroys it. So when I first saw that, I was like, whoa, because that scene was actually different from, I think, what happened in the anime. So I was like, okay, this is actually a change. So I'm quite interested on why they changed that. And it's quite interesting because he was looking for Hal. So he was like, yeah, I've got a personal issue with this guy. So he goes up to them, he's like, yo, are you with Hal? They're like, what are you talking about? And then I think he attacks him first. So they attack back, and he beats them both, and then Yo pulls up. And he's like, why did you do this? And he's like, actually no, I was wrong. He was looking for strong people so he could go and fight Hal. So he was asking them if he was strong, and that's when he beats them. And then he asks Yo if he's strong, and Yo's just like, I don't even care, I don't even want to fight you. I'm just trying to get my friends to safety, because you just hurt them for no reason. And then he uses his like special attack, and it's funny because he's from England, so he's like Big Ben, yeah. And Yo just destroys that instantly, and then you see that glimpse, and like it's like, oh, he looks like Hal. And that's when you start seeing, oh, Yo and Hal kind of look similar. What's going on there? I think that's when that plot line kind of started rolling, because I'm not sure if at the meeting at the airport, that's when Hal was like, yo, you're my other half. Well, I'm not sure if that was a bit later when they were actually in the tournament.
I think when he established he was like his other half, I think it was later in the tournament.
Okay, yeah.
From what I remember. And before we go into any depth, what part of London do you think Lesurge is from? What part of London?
He had he definitely, he probably have from like Kensington, Chelsea, them areas there, because he had the nice apartment. He definitely from the nicer areas, West London.
100%.
Because that's the nice part of London.
Man had his both parents.
That was well established.
Everything, the yard was looking nice, the clothes are looking nice.
I'm telling you.
Nah, I agree with that still. I know that guy he's never struggled in his life.
Until his parents got killed. Oh.
Trust me. Yeah, when like he was introduced, he came off as overconfident. Like, which was interesting. I think was even cool. Like, it wasn't one of those things like a character comes in overconfident and you feel some type of way about it. You're like, we kind of need somebody to kind of slap them up a bit, like to initiate them into like both initiate them and us into the environment that everybody's strong here and anybody can get everybody can get the beating like when it comes to it. And then get both of them, Ren and Horo, getting dispatched so quickly and easily. Obviously, at first I was shocked. I was like, "Wow, even Ren, are you mad?" Nah, they're mocking it. They're mocking it. It even had me thinking, "Wow, Yo might get the beating right here, and like now, like he might get the beating as well." So, but then that was good to see. So I knew this, like, it's not going to be something. This is not going to be easy. Like one of those. It was going to be a tough journey, and it's going to be one of those where every battle, every like little conflict is going to cause a lot of character growth, and the growth we've seen needs to be fast, because like our opponent's on a different level, on a real different level. So it was best for them to get slapped up like that as quickly as possible, to be honest.
Yeah, because that's where like, they're like, yeah,
Me,
I
it was
got to
great.
train now. Got to train. Can't be getting dispatched by this guy. And
Definitely.
so that's when Lysa, he starts traveling with them, and then he kind of starts letting his guard down. And I think while they're still journeying towards to get to the Patch tribe, there's this like brief little mini arc with Horror, and that's when you kind of get more detail on his character and how he might have more secrets. Because I'm not sure if you remember this arc, the arc with the dare.
I do.
And
that was a good arc.
That's when he switches from using the snowboard to the little wooden I don't want to call it a stake, it's Icapasso or something like that. I probably butchered that name. So that's when he starts using that for his medium for Oversoul instead of the snowboard. I think that arc was really good, because you kind of start seeing, it was kind of like a glimpse of a savage side of Horror, because basically what happens is there's a bear in this resort area, or it's not, is there a wildlife reserve, and he's been there for time. And what happens is the poachers come and they kill the bear. So Horror, he gets vexed now. He whips out his wooden thing instead of the snowboard, because I think his snowboard got destroyed by Lysa, and you're expecting him to be a bit weaker, but he's actually stronger, and you see his power manifest in a different way. And like he just, like, you get this cool panel where like half of his face is ice and like the other half is just his normal, and it's like I just remember looking at the panel.
That panel was wild. I remember that now. You put it back to me. That panel was, I was like, yes, let's go.
Bro, I was just like, whoa. I haven't seen this side, because you know him, he's just always joking around, isn't he?
Legit.
He just like, oh yeah, he's kind of like, I don't want to say comic relief, but he's kind of the light-hearted character from the bunch. So to see him get to that level of anger, I was just like, oh, this is serious then. Real serious. Okay. So let's transition, because I don't actually remember when Chocolove joins. So if you could jog my memory, that would be helpful.
From what I recall, I feel like he
do you think it was when it was at was it when they were already at the Patch tribe? Actually, no. I think I remember. So after the vampire arc where Lysa leaves with the X-Lords, I think Chocolove joins in the arc after that.
Yeah, it was definitely after X-Lord gets introduced.
So let's actually, before we talk about Chocolove, because that's actually one of the first black characters I've seen in anime / manga who didn't get done dirty, because in Bleach, Tozen got done dirty, Zomomori got done dirty, and Pepe got done dirty. Yorichi was the only one who was cool. But
basically, if you're melanated, you get done dirty most of the time.
But this is about Shaman King, so we'll put that to the side.
Amen.
So before we talk about him, let's talk about the X-Lords, because this is a group who were kind of introduced, and they were when we first meet them, it's implied that they're quite above our group in power. So it was quite interesting to see, and they're oversouls as well, because they have the guns in it, and they're based on angels and stuff. So what did you think of them when you first saw them, and like how did you think about the way they dealt with the whole thing with the Boris the vampire?
So I definitely, how I first perceived them was like a like superior, angelic, like divine kind of god centered like cult kind of group, you know what I mean? Which was because that's the kind of like the first time we actually saw a group of people who presented themselves in a kind of cultic fashion with one central goal and one central leader, and they talk a lot about like judgment and law and being the people who will enforce these kind of judgments and law, and you have to stick close to these laws. So it was definitely and with that they came off a high and mighty. So like people like Marco, like
Marco,
they will spout the most nonsense you be hearing. You're like, bro, all you do is chatting air.
All for the Iron Maiden.
But it was needed. I feel like it added a lot. It wasn't like a group of people who did not add anything to the story. They definitely added a lot to the story, and it shows also another group of people who had semi like links to the shaman battle, but weren't really interested or invested in like their end goal. Like they had goals within the goal of becoming Shaman King, but they had their own individual kind of group goals, which was enforcing that law and obviously putting judgment against people or anybody who breaks the law and goes against like the values they hold. So yeah, obviously that was definitely lit for me, and the way their oversouls were, the guns and the angels. The angels are wavy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like they're actually wavy.
They're definitely wavy.
Like they were aesthetically like pleasing. Like I looked at them and was like, yeah, that's divine oversoul. Come on, you can't.
That's a different.
You can't mess with that. Definitely. And with the Iron Maiden, first thing I thought was so odd that she was locked up in that coffin all the time. I was like, what is this, man?
I'm the same way. Listen, she's a young
like,
girl.
This is so weird.
It is weird.
Trust me. I was like, come on, you guys need to stop that. And I feel like, and obviously it was something to do with I don't know, something to do with like being a torture chamber. And I feel like she was trying to put herself in a place where she's always like kind of suffering. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what she had to do because she formed the contract with the spirit. What's it? Shamak or something like that. You know, it was like a baby with a hat.
I remember that.
I think it was like a prerequisite. She takes on all the burdens of the world or something like that, and that's why she's always in the coffin or Iron Maiden. But yeah, she was the whole X-Worlds. They were interesting because they kind of, as you were saying, they introduced the divine oversoul. So you see that there's actually tiers to the spirits. So how Amida Maru, he's like a human class spirit. They had a diviner class spirit. So it's kind of I guess it has more potential. So that's where you kind of start seeing, okay, so this is where these guys can go. And that's when you kind of start seeing them improving their oversouls. And then I'm gonna get to this later. You get the introduction of when he comes in the shaman fight, the double oversoul, and we'll talk about that later because that was dope. That was really cool.
Definitely.
But let's talk about Chokolov because he's a great. Well, I don't know if I can say great, but I like his character, even though people kind of have a problem with him because he looks like a stereotypical black guy, but he's a lot more than that. And if you read the series, you understand.
I would agree. Yeah, like you said, his character design is wild at first. You're like, what? that's a lot. But then he probably has that. His backstory is probably my favorite, and there's so much depth to it, and there's so much like character development. Like when you initially see him, he's from the US, isn't it? From the US.
Yeah, like I think it's New York. It's implied to be.
And then his parents gets killed, and it sends them down a like downward spiral, he joins a gang, then becomes one of the top members, and then starts leading the gang. And let me just say, his bald head just is lit, fam. He makes me. I'm not glad. I'm like, rah, I'm gonna have to rock the bald head like him one day.
He showed it off well. Can't lie.
Definitely.
He owned it.
I feel like for me, he shows the like when we see him first, and when we like finally establish like what he finally like is character-wise, he shows the most like improvement, and the most like his story is the most dynamic, as in from where he was and where he is now, and what kind of shaman he's trying to be. And I love that he's a comedy man, and he loves the jokes.
And his jokes suck, but I love him anyway.
Because they suck, they're mad funny, fam. Because I'll just be cracking up for no reason. I'm like, that's such a bad joke, fam. And it's like, I love how everybody knows this. Like, bruh, everybody looking at him like, please, like, stop it. You're not funny. Like, don't quit your day job. That the comedy's not going to work for you. But man's still persistent. I love how he wants to save the world with a smile. And I love the story with his sensei, the guy who, bruh, the one who taught him the ways, and how what the significance of his death was to his growth, and how the individual he wants to be, the individual he wants to become, and like what kind of world he wants to bring about, which is sick. He's definitely one of my favorite characters, the best by far, like top 5 easily.
I have to agree with you, because throughout the story, I think he goes throughout, as you were saying, he's dynamic. Like, see, we're introduced to him, he pulls up with the afro, the jaguar spirit, the little kind of tribal dressing he's got on, and like from there, like you see him, I feel like he goes through the most changes in his character design and just him as a person. Because when he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, I'm blind, by the way. I'm like, what? Because what happens is, like, you understand that, okay, I was a gangster and now I've seen the error of my ways, so I'm trying to save the world with a smile. But the story doesn't let him get away with just trying to be like, oh yeah, there's no consequences from him being a gangster. And that kind of, it catches up to him in the shaman fight, which is probably the most unexpected place that you would have thought he'd have the consequences. So like so he killed someone, and the person's children, basically they're like, okay, we want to get revenge on him. So they make a whole, they create this whole thing just so they can kill him, Chocolon. And that's where he's like, oh, okay, I see that I can't actually get away with the way I was acting before, and I see that like how my actions have affected and impacted these young kids. So when he pulls up and he's fighting that guy, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, and he's trying to calm them down, but then like they're not really hearing it, because they're like, that's not going to bring back my dad in a way. So yeah, I like that they included that, because I wasn't really expecting that backstory to for that tie-in with his backstory.
Definitely.
And his powers are cool.
I love how it coats him and he becomes, is it the Jaguar?
Mick
becomes the Jaguar. Like that's wavy, like, because it feels like it really enhanced, like it's like enhances his speed, natural, like his overall strength and ability. Like it's just wavy, it's a vibe. And like you said, I agree with how his whole storyline, like, did not just like other people's storyline, they kind of cut off, and you know that happened to them, but it doesn't have real ramifications in the initial story or what's happening like now. But his one really did, and it played a big part in like the story during it was the first fight had happened before that, innit?
Yeah, so this was like outside of the actual tournament, so it wasn't even an official match. That's why it was like,
So
oh
yeah,
wow.
it was one of those when it was like you're surprised that because you didn't really think that kind of it needed to carry, like there was no sign. It was one of those like, ah, that's wavy. I can't believe that ties into that, and that happens because of that. And even those kids and the golem and the dad's spirits taking over the
Yep.
was it the little sister?
Yeah.
That was shocking. I was
Fam.
like, what? I was like, so the little sister's not like she's alive, but she's not living in this world like a normal person. Like
Yeah,
her
she's
body's
being
been taken over by
controlled.
her dead dad's spirit. Like that was whole wild, and it shows you. I feel like it continued to reiterate how powerful spirits were, and it's not even about the strength of a spirit. It's more of the conviction of one's heart and one's mind and one's soul, and like that can transcend even death. Like you could die, but if you had enough conviction, your spirit will live on and try to finish what you basically started. And that was definitely showcased there. And even with Chocolove, you can see the significance of his past life and how the spirit he had then still has ramification on, even though he's very much a changed individual, it still has ramifications on his experiences now and how like he's able to like navigate the path ahead of him because of all the bad decisions he made then, which was definitely incredible. Like definitely enjoyed that a lot.
Very dope, very dope. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's talk about how when they're in the tournament now, so like this is their first official matches. Let's talk about actually the teams, because because they have to enter in teams of 3. So we have Team Funabari Onsen, which was Yo, Ryu, and Faust. So before we talk about Ren's team, what did you think about the inclusion of Faust on the protagonist team, knowing what he had done prior?
For me, obviously, it was a bit odd. It was a shock because obviously I was expecting Lysurge to take that spot, but then obviously a lot happens with him during that time, and him joining up with Exlo and that. So I knew that strictly based on his ability and power, like adding Faust, it was a great idea. Like, and it definitely has paid off.
Did.
But when you're referencing like everything that's happened with him, you're thinking, wow, are we really gonna add this kind of individual to the gang? You know what I mean? It feels like he doesn't really fit the normal dynamics of the group, like if you know what I mean. When you look at everybody, they more or less their convictions have is kind of pure and not really self-centered. Even Ren in the end, like Ren initially after his death, and he comes back and he decides, nah, I'm not going to be tied down to my path and my father before me and my family line. Now I'm my own individual, and this is my conviction to become Shaman King. And that, so even him, he had a positive kind of aspect to, and it worked with the team, like it worked with the whole group. Whereas false inclusion, for me, I was like, huh?
It was like, why's this guy here? Because he had to be convinced. I don't want to say convinced, but he was like, oh yeah, if you join, Anna was like, oh yeah, I'll promise to bring back your wife. So it was kind of a thing where he was like, okay, I'm joining because you're bringing back my girl. And then like he kind of, when he spends time, he kind of learns to bond with them. So that, I guess it was a thing where you're like, I don't know about Faust, but then you kind of grow to, you warm up to him in a way.
You do, but it's very gradual, because at the beginning just thinking this is one booky guy, and I'm trying to stay away from him. And it was so funny when Manta and him, like
Oh, they met up.
the I remember there was one moment when I think Manta is sleeping on his lap or knocked out, and he wakes up and he's looking at him like, why am I here? Like, what's happening? And that was giving me jokes. I was like, oh,
Oh
like
dear.
that dynamic was actually funny. It was too funny.
Yeah, Manta is just
But in the
funny in
end,
general.
oh, he's jokes. He's very jokes, man. Like I don't know what the show would be without him. Like, he's too funny.
Yeah, he's too important, man. He's funny. Okay, so let's talk about Team the Ren, because obviously Ren was like, yeah, I'm not going on a team with you. I mean, we're friends, but I still need to beat you. And it's quite interesting because when you compare the teams, so you got Team the Ren, so that's Ren, Chocolov, and Horror. So you're thinking, what, these man versus Yo, Ryu, and Faust? Like, you're like, does this really, do they equal each other? Because, like,
Yeah.
we'll get to it later, but when those two teams face off, that's another top tier moment. Oof.
But I read that today.
Oh, you did?
My face. I read that today. Are you mad? I was hyped. I was like, what is this?
That's a good.
It was wild. It was wavy. I was like, okay.
Also, did Horror pull up with the Nipopo gauntlets?
Two fists
Hey,
up.
look at it.
Man was like,
You
let's
see him
go. Go.
Yeah. Listen, when he pulls out the gauntlets, I was like, yo. Hey.
I was like, you shining like that? Is that what we're on now? Is that the thing is, they look so heavy.
But listen, that move is cold. I can't even lie. That move is cold.
Different. And it's when it must be like I don't know. I feel like it's way below freezing point, because you see when he attacked what's his name?
Ryu.
Ryu, yeah. And man just froze off his hands.
Yeah, man.
And it was locked off
quickly. It's over.
I was like, what is happening? I was like, no. I went down and saw the panel. I was like, what happened to his arm? Like, why is it both his hands gone? That was wild. Actually wild.
Built different. Listen.
Trust me.
That whole fight is crazy.
Fully. But I'm not gonna I personally felt that their Ren's team had a better balance. I definitely feel that they were weaker at the time. But for me, I feel like they're in a way, all three of them had a point to prove as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And they were hungry, and there was kind of like a on equal grounds on, this is a goal people already like think we can't match up against them. But let's show out. Let's go and let's improve, and let's get stronger and like win this. You know what I mean? And even at the time, you could see they had no doubt in themselves. Like, that's one of the moments when I knew the facts. Like, I could see their conviction. Like, all three of them, I was like, yeah, okay, this might get serious. They might be down for business.
Listen, they put this. I think from as soon as they said fight, they came out quick. Dealt with the two people, and they were like, yo, we're getting you out of here quickly. Quickly. Yo was under pressure. I'm not gonna lie. And that's my guy. I was like, it's looking a bit sticky for you. Cause I think
it's a bit tight. Every time I see Yo in a sticky situation or a tight situation, I'm like, what's happening? Like, is this for real?
I don't even blame you, because like sometimes I'm just like, how is he even gonna win this? And this is skipping ahead a bit, but what did you think when Ren died? Yeah, and then Yo was like, I'm gonna drop out. So the X-Force are like, okay, we can say, we can save Ren, but you have to leave the shaman fight, my guy, yo. And Yo was like, yeah, cool. What did you think then? What were you like?
Look at my face. This is me. I was like, I was like, what are you on? What do you mean? What do you mean? I was like, yo, pattern up. He died. It is what it is. It is what it is. We move. We gotta win this. I said, we've journeyed too far. We've come too far for us like to quit now. And the thing is, they dragged it for so long. So I thought he was fully out of the competition. It had me thinking of I'll be eating dinner, I'll be doing my work, and then randomly I'll think, wait, so if Yo is out of the Shaman fight, how is it gonna come Shaman King? And that's what I'll be thinking, like randomly. It had me stressed. Nah, he's done for that. I can never forgive him for dropping out. Like the slaps he got from Anne was definitely deserved.
Okay, so you were on the other side then. You were like, yes.
Facts.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I was shocked. I was like, no, because I was even shocked that Ren died. I was like, what? They killed this man? And I think when they introduced this whole concept of like going to hell and coming back into life, I was like, it's a bit interesting. Takes away from the seriousness of death though. But
it does.
When he died the first time, I was like, what is going on? And like you kind of see how it affects the characters, because horror, he's like, damn, I was too weak. I couldn't protect my teammate. And even Chocolov, he's normally making jokes, innit? And he's not even making any jokes. So like the fact that Yo was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to drop out, and him dropping out, that was like, because normally Anna's like, quite, like, you know, she be slapping him, but it's not, I don't think it's as serious. This time it was serious, because that was the one thing he promised her, innit? That was like a big promise. And then like when you go back to that flashback and you see, yeah, this is a big violation he just did.
Big violation. And for me personally, I didn't think it was 100% necessary. I didn't think it was his duty or he was liable. Like I don't think he needed to do that. I feel like if, like, obviously it's sad and peak if someone dies, but if do you know when you two people, more than two, like everybody has agreed that you're going into the shaman fight and you know you can die, like there's a possibility you'll die. That's an agreed thing, it's established. So don't be surprised when you die, and I'm not gonna try and bring you back to life. Like it's one of those things, you know what I mean? Like if I was him, I'd be like, if I was Joe, obviously we're both very different people, I would be like, do you know what? Like I'm going to use his death to like push me further and motivate me to get and become a Shaman King, because his death won't be in vain. Nobody's death is going to be in vain. Man was like, I'm dropping out of the Shaman fight.
Yeah, but let's not make it seem like Ren died and he was like, okay, cool, I'm out. The X-Force, they issued him an ultimatum and he was like, cool. If it's to bring my boy back, then I'll do it. But yeah, that was definitely wild. I'm not gonna lie, because even the way they kind of snuck Ren in a way, because they pulled up like what, 3-man, 4-man, 4-man deep, and they just put the spear right through him. I was like, say swear. That's almost like Ren is dead. I was like, okay.
And it was wild because like Chocolove and Horo did not believe it. They were like, what? Nah, he's not dead. He's not. We're gonna carry on fighting. He's not dead. I feel like Horo's ability when he kind of froze him, that was wavy, and I think that was great thinking at the time, because I feel like that would have put his body to a state where even if he was revived, it would be kind of peak for him.
Yeah, I get you.
Because obviously, the Iron Maiden could bring him back to life, but I don't think her ability was to heal his body. And I know he said something like, due to his spirit being like in like a medium between life and death,
He
and
got
where he
stronger.
was in that like hell. Yeah, he got stronger, and in essence healed his body. So she didn't heal his body, it was that healed his body, which I found was like super interesting.
Yeah, and he got a new
But I
oversoul
do
from
feel
that as
like
well.
the deaths were, yeah.
What were you saying
What did
about the
you feel
deaths?
about them dying? I feel like it was overplayed out. I feel like for me that was the one that was something I wasn't hyped for. I wasn't as like
Um,
hyped or liked it, because I'm like, come on, you're just playing with
it was a
death.
bit
You die
much.
and you get stronger. Like, what is
It was
it?
kind of
Chocolate
like
Love died
a,
like twice. Man went to hell twice.
it was kind of like a trial thing, but like, because they were like, oh, Ren went to hell and he came back stronger. Okay, let's all do it. And I'm just like, and they kind of got this secret technique which allowed them to do it. And I was like, it's kind of a thing where like I'm not sure how well known the technique is, because if it's quite well known, why isn't everyone else doing it? And I did like the trials.
Facts. Because you know how many times I would have killed myself
Oh my days.
to get stronger. I'm the strongest guy on the planet. I'm the strongest guy on the planet.
I think I won't say the only good thing, but one of the good things is like they came out with new oversouls, and those oversouls were clean. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like Nipoto gauntlets, the shark fin that Ren has, Jaguar Man for Chocolov, and what Yo has. I think it's in the picture there. Yeah, those are all clean. But I guess moving away from the story, what do you think about the art in Shaman King? Because I feel like when we get to the later phases, that's when the art is really shining. Like it's clean, it's crisp, it's polished.
It was very beautiful, and I feel like the way the panels were laid out, it really immersed you in it. So there was, I swear, you had moments when you had shock factors. Like you go down to the next panel and you be proper shocked. You'd be like, what? Like, what just happened? You have to scroll up and scroll back down just to take it in. Like, and not a lot of manga strips can do that. Like, reading that, you compare it to other things I've read, and I'm like, wow, they really know how to like engage the viewer. They know how to make it a real impactful, because it's easy to lose like important moments or significant moments in manga strips, and it's harder to build up that tension. But they do it so well. Like, I'll be scrolling down and be like, wow, did that just happen? No, it's wild.
Yeah, gotta respect it. I think I'm not sure about the Zoom, so I'm gonna give you just one more question, and then we'll just do like a brief outro just in case it kicks us. Just quick fire. What's your favorite spirit?
My favorite spirit. That's a tough one, you know. I'll probably go for Lyserge.
Chloe.
The wavy. I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. I thought that was litty.
Mine's probably horror's one. Koro. Okay, so favorite character, I'm guessing that's Anna for you.
Yeah.
Okay, mine's Yo. I think he's probably one of my favorite protagonists in general. Yeah. Favorite fight. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was gonna say the same one. I was actually gonna say the same one. Favorite fight. You go first there.
I think probably Team Ren versus Team Funabari Onsen, because that's just a great fight, I think, in my opinion. Because I think that's when they're like at their most polished, and then you kind of see how Yo has to adapt, because they're all coming at him, and as we kind of talked about earlier, the other two on his team aren't really up to the standard. What about you?
I hear that. For me, I think Horo versus Blocking.
Oh yeah,
on the beachside fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had to I reread that like twice. I was like, what a good, and I loved how his dad passed through, and had a couple words and went off like a boss. Wait, man has got a plank of wood, put it on and started rowing. I was like, what's happening? What kind of crud is this guy on? I loved how he used his powers so uniquely then, like building those ice walls and fighting somebody who was much stronger than him, like had so much a higher spiritual level. It was definitely one of my favorite fights.
Definitely. And final question: how do you think it's gonna end? I know how it's gonna end, so I'm not gonna say anything. But at the point you are in the story, how do you think it's gonna end?
Cool. At the moment, I don't see how they can win. First thing, they're fighting the Patch Tribe members, and those people, we've seen this. We haven't even seen the scale of their power. We've just seen glimpses when they were showcased a little bit, and so far, and there's a lot of levels they have to go through to even get to where the ceremony is happening and where they will find the host sleeping. But I think I feel like the Yo would need another power boost, and I think that's going to happen now during I think each fight with the patch members, they will learn something, and that will give them like a new skill or a new ability that would then take them to the final fight, which even then I don't see him winning.
Okay, interesting.
I really don't see him winning.
We'll revisit this. But anyway, it was great having this conversation with you, Rajel. Thanks for coming out.
I was sick, man.
Any final words for the people?
Obviously, this is one of our first kind of video chats, kind of videos. Hopefully, there'll be more to come with all the members of AK Mindset,
Yes.
So yeah, just stay vibes in and get ready for more content.
Yeah, and let us know maybe in the comments if you want to see any series you want us to discuss, and then we'll make sure to discuss it in this format. We'll just be playing around with stuff. Thank you for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at the AK Mindset. I think there's an underscore in between the and the AK. Follow us on Twitter at AK Mindset. And you can follow our personals. They'll be in the description below. And stay tuned, and thanks for listening.